Hey friends, it's Jen with ChappyPlans. Thanks for joining me here for another December daily. If you'd like to see what I'm going to do, stick around. What's up, friends? Happy January. It's Jen with ChappyPlans. Today I'll be sharing my process for stories 9 and 10 in my December daily album. And originally contents have, been changed around, but that's cool. Today I'm going to be working on my ornaments page. So this story is about the new ornaments we got this year that I've already taken pictures of. And originally I thought about doing these on a grid, but I already have a couple of grids, and so I wanted to switch it up and bring in a different shape. So I'm going to do this triangle shape. I saw Heidi Swap have this like die cut insert that had 12 openable flaps, and I wanted to copy that idea, but I'm only going to put 6. So I've already printed out my photos. I have the Hello Kitty and Keroppi that we got, and Bluey, the Grinch, and the Game of Life, which is awesome because that is something that we've been playing a lot this year, and that's like kind of a new addition of like growth for our family, in that, Nora's old enough to now play that game and understand it and enjoy it. So super special ornaments here that I want to document, and I'm going to have them just be behind little flaps. And originally I was just going to add in the tree just like this, but then I thought I wanted to make it a regular outside the page protector size, because before this story, my album has some pretty crazy like shapes going on, right? Like they're not typical pages. So we have like the half circle, and then we have this 8 with the spinning feature. And so I thought if I added a tree, it would just be like kind of too much like happening in the middle. So I want it to go back to another page. I also thought about putting a transparency or a vellum sheet between stories 8 and 9 to kind of break it up. So we'll see after I finish what it looks like, if I'm going to do that or not. And then on the back of this story will be my wrapping paper, and that's going to be hopefully quick and easy. So I'm going to put you on fast forward and get started and see what happens. So let's go. So the first thing I do is trim this paper down, and I made a mistake because I meant to leave little flaps on either side to act as hinges, which I will then adhere to the acetate behind it. So I will remedy that in a second. Trimming down the acetate, this is from American Crafts. It's pretty generic. I've seen a million people use it. I got mine at Joann. You can also get it on scrapbook.com. So here's where I'm like, oops, I was supposed to leave another hinge. Also, the paper is really wet there in the bottom right corner. I spilled a little water, so that made the paper thin, and it definitely made this a little bit more difficult. I could have let it dry, but I was impatient, so I just worked with it as it is. Then what I did was I took my super old square punch from Creative Memories to punch out the squares that I could then trace and draw on the top of the triangle where I knew I wanted the windows to be. So that's pretty self-explanatory. I just took my X-Acto knife and trimmed around each edge, and then I stuck the photos behind it with some tape. Okay, so again, I had a situation where my storage is full on my camera and I didn't realize it stopped recording, but all I did was cut out little windows and then tape the photos to the back. And then for the middle one, I used one of these word phrase label cards from the December daily kit, and it just says it's a magical time of year, and it was the perfect size, so I put it right behind that middle one. And then this is going to get taped to this transparency. I also made another triangle for the back because I realized when this flips over, you're going to see the back, so I'm going to cover that as well. And I actually have been thinking, I watched Allie's, I forget what story it was, where she used her, it might have, I think story 10, where she used her tree template, but it was with the canvas circles. And then she used the back to tell the story about her wrapping paper. And I thought maybe I should just take actual swatches of the wrapping paper and just alternate them on the back of this tree, and that would literally be it. You don't really need journaling for a story about wrapping paper. So I think that's what I'm gonna do. And yeah. I don't know how that would work though, because this would be behind it, and then you'd see the stars over top. I need to figure that out. So I'm going to put you on fast forward, and I'll this time make sure that I am looking at the camera periodically. But again, it wasn't anything exciting or groundbreaking, just me using my X-Acto knife and a ruler to trim around where I had drawn the squares. And yeah, so let me keep going and speed you guys up. So now you can see I have the back here. I'm going to take my double-sided tape to use that to secure it to that triangle I cut. Carefully line it up. It's definitely janky. I think hindsight is 20/20, and you're like, oh, I could have done this in an easier way. But then you're like, well, here we are. We managed to figure it out. Good for me. All right. So, and then I'm making another one because this is when I'm like figuring out the mechanics of story number 10. So I figure, you know, that can be taped down. No worries. The back doesn't need to look any kind of way because I'm going to cover it up on the other side with that other triangle that I just cut out. So I was very proud of myself because I wasn't sure how the heck I was going to embellish the front of these windows. As you can see here, I'm pulling out the wooden stars, which are one of my absolute favorite embellishments this year. And then I was like, oh, I don't know. I could number it because there are 5 ornaments, but I don't want it to look like it's story number 5. There were so many different ways I thought I could embellish this. And then I decided to go with these canvas circles because I was like, this is what Allie did for her. I don't know if it was prep day or if it was just, I think it was just her making a foundation page, but I was like, I want to do the canvas circle thing. So this is a great way for me to do it. Obviously it's different than what Allie did, because I think hers are just hanging and it looks really cool. They look like hanging ornaments. But I liked this as well. I thought this was another great option, right as she says, to be a translator of ideas. So I think I did that, and I picked some phrases that I really liked. And then this number 9 is from Tim Holtz. I'm using my awl to pierce little holes in each of the canvas circles and then putting my star through the canvas, and in this case also through the number 9. But I didn't like it like that, so I decided to hang it. I wanted it to be dangling, so I used some gold thread to do that. It's just from DMC, the same company that makes like embroidery floss. It's called I'm not really sure. Oh, D3852 is the thread number, in case you're curious. Got it at Michael's. Okay, so yeah, I'm just going to adhere each of these little canvas circles with a star, and then I got a little clever, and the one phrase says jingle bells. So I decided to add on, I have these super tiny gold bells from Hobby Lobby. They're really, really, really little. And I sort of started to think, oh, I could add more dangly things to each of these little windows. But then I thought, you know what, let's just keep it kind of simple, and just stick to the 2 circles. One's going to have the number and the one's going to have the jingle. Oh, they're jingle all the way, not jingle bells. And because the only other one I thought that might work would be Holly Jolly, which I ended up putting right next to it. And I thought I could put some like dangling holly bells. Nope. Holly leaves or something. But I didn't want the embellishments to be like right next to each other. So I just did this little one with the thread again and wrapped it around the brad and called that good. And I think it looks really cute. Like, I'm pretty happy with it. I was going to leave it as is, and then I said, you know what? I am going to cover up the backside of the brads. So I took my punch and punched out 6 more pieces of white cardstock, which again, this is the thing, like, I could have done, you know, hindsight in the beginning, and it would have made it easier, and they would have been the right size and all that good stuff. But I didn't, and it still worked out. I still made it work. I think it looks really cute, and honestly, I'm really happy with the way it turned out. So what I do is, oh, first I'm going to embellish with a star. I love this cardstock star. I like the way it looks. I like the gold that it brings in. I like the green, and I like that it's predominantly white. The only thing I think it needed was a brad in the middle, so I ended up putting, instead of a brad, I decided to go with, what are these called? Yep. I can't even think right now, but you see it. These little acrylic circle dot things. So I picked a gold one, glittery one, and I realized I don't like the way those, you know, you can see the end of the fasteners on the inside of the flap. So I'm going to punch out 6 more, and then using different pens, just like Allie does in the beginning, and like I did in the beginning of my table of contents, writing, you know, using different pens of different sizes and different types of ink gel and all that to just write a tiny bit about each ornament that we added this year to our collection. So I'm on story number 10, and my initial idea was to take all of these strips of wrapping paper and just do like strips, like across horizontal strips. And then I thought, you know what? Why don't I get crazy? By crazy, I mean use a hexagon punch. Clearly, I was channeling like my, you know, inner 2000s scrapbook self, because that's, I'm pretty sure, when I had these punches from. Anyway, I punched out all these little pieces of paper from the wrapping paper, and I taped them on. Probably would have been better to use like a good old glue stick, good old-fashioned glue stick. Why does it have to be a good old-fashioned glue stick? I don't know, whatever. A glue stick. No offense to the glue stick. The glue stick is great. Especially, have you seen the scented ones? Nora has those for school and she loves those. Anyways, squirrel, back to what I'm actually doing. I am adding all these, kind of spreading out like the colors a little bit and the designs. And I'm really proud of myself for not deciding to like over embellish. I thought about it. I was like, oh, I should spell out wrapping paper. I should have some peekaboo pieces of wrapping paper with journaling behind them. And I was like, no, Jen, no, don't do it. So I restrained myself, which is shocking. And it was really fun to do this. It was super therapeutic. It was like doing a puzzle, you know, like having to fill in each of the little spaces. And it was quite fun. And so once I get all of that on, I decide that it also needs a star at the top. So I end up bringing in one of the wood veneer stars in green. And initially I was going to put green chipboard, like one of the green chipboard phrases along the bottom and just leave it. But I ended up, and I was going to put a 10 on one of the hexagons, like the snowman there in the center. But I thought it kind of blended in too much and I didn't love it. So what I ended up doing, because I love the green chipboard, it's another one of my favorite embellishments, which is why you haven't seen me use them, because I'm totally hoarding them. And I punch holes with my crocodile through the chipboard, and then this little shaker tree I made from prep day, and the number 10 and the vellum, and I make a little cluster, a little hanging cluster, and then I sewed the star onto the top of the tree with some embroidery thread. And that is it. Those are my stories for 9 and 10. I love the way these turned out. I'm going to show you some close-ups here. Let me know if you've got any questions about anything that I shared. Thank you so much for hanging out with me, and do me a favor, if you like this video, please give it a thumbs up. If you're not subscribed, I would love for you to subscribe to my channel. I'm always sharing all different types of content, but either way, I really appreciate you watching this video, and I hope you have a great rest of your day. Take care, sweet friends, and remember that you are enough, and I love you guys. Bye.